Hi all, welcome back to the YouTube channel. Let's start rebooting work using UiPath. In today's session, we are going to discuss about UiPath integration activities. So before jumping into this, let me give you a background. So why we are going to use this particular activity, so what is the usage of this particular activity, and how we are going to utilize this particular activity in your workflow. So if you are familiar with your AI center, you maybe came across all this activity in your out-of-box model. So now suddenly you will be having questions. Why you are going to use this as an activity level if we have a AI center, right? So just a background over here. So if you go to the depreciation timeline sites, so you can see that all the out of box models are going to be depreciated on June 2025, right? So to overcome all this issue, UiPath has came across with the activity which is nothing but UiPath integration service activity. So where you will have all the out of box model as an activity level. So here you no need to create dataset, train pipeline, evaluate pipelines, and you're going to deploy the ML models. All these steps has been reduced, and then they have provided a predefined activity which you can easily drag and drop, and you can use it in your workflows. So this is really cool, right? So instead of doing all these efforts in your AI center, if you're gonna get this as a single activity, it's really very cool, right? So let's go to the legacy way. So here we used to create the projects, and then you have to click the out of box model, all these steps, right? So instead of doing that, you're gonna drag and drop your activity once you install this particular exclusive package. Okay, don't forget, if you're going to install this particular package, then you're going to get all these activities in your workflows. So as today's example, let's quickly take the named entity recognition model. So how it gonna works when you're going to take it up as activity level, right? So before I used to make a train data sets, all these things even I have done in my past experience. Okay, now I just gonna use this as a activity level now. I'm just really super excited that so how you gonna work. So let's start cracking on this. So let's quickly jump back to the UiPath Studio. So I just made an annotation all this stuffs as a pre-request. So what I just gonna do now, I'm gonna install the package. So you can see over here I have already installed this package. Let me show you once again. So currently I just use 1.15.0. This is the exclusive version which I just gonna use. So you have several versions as well. You can pick it accordingly. And then so let's try to close this. So as soon as you install this particular package, you can see several GPT activities over here. Let's scroll down quickly. So here you can see UiPath Gen AI activities, right? So here you can see couple of all the activities, filtering, categorization, content generation, all these activities. So in our upcoming session, you're gonna see one by one how this particular activity is gonna work and how you're gonna make a fit in on your business use case as well. Let's try to drag and drop the name entity recognition. So here as soon as I drag and drop this particular activity, you can see something called as default and then my mail address, right? So how this particular connection is happening. So when you're going to do it for very first time, so how it looks like, it will ask you to make a connection. Okay, so how to do this? So you have to click on this particular settings and then add new connection. So if you're going to add a new connection, then I'm going to click on add new connection. Since I already established a connection, so you can see my connection string over here. Okay, so let me just click on manage connection. So you can see here the connection has been established, right? So it says the status as a connected one. So let's try to check the connection. So you can see here it was connected successful. So here I didn't use any API keys or something, so which is provided by the UiPath exclusively. So you can easily make a connect and you can utilize this particular activities connectors. Okay. So once you're done with the connection strings, and then you're gonna go here and pass your inputs. So as soon as you provide your inputs, you can categorize this as your entity levels, how you want to extract the information or segregate the information. So based upon that, you're gonna apply your entity levels as a filters. Okay. So let's take one by one all the scenarios which I just listed over here. So let's try to copy and paste the sample text which I just posted over here. So let's try to copy the first text and then try to pass this as a input inside the double quotes. So since it is going to take the string value, so I just passed as a within the double quotes. Okay, so you can see something called a string. And then so defining entities. So this is a very crucial part, right? So what are the information you're going to extract from this message? So that's the key thing. So here I just going to understand what is the transaction type, whether it's a authorized transaction or unauthorized transaction. And then so what is the amount has been detected and the date, and then what is the bank and credit card or debit card, what is the card type. So all this information I'm going to understand. The main focus of picking this particular use case is, so when it comes to bank, so you'll be getting a fraud transaction. So all these things will be happen, right? So when you're gonna affected by fraud transaction, you'll be drafting a mail and sending across to agent. So where you're gonna understand the details, he has to go through your entire email, and then he gonna take the further steps, right? So in those scenarios, let's assume an agent gonna get around thousands or like lakhs of emails from the across the users in the globe. He gonna go through the entire email. It will be such a massive task. He has to interpret the line by line and have to capture the important elements or entities, right? So to process your request, in those scenarios, this particular named entity recognition model gonna play a vital role and gonna understand, instead of user gonna understand by itself, and then gonna give a clear cut view to the agent. So you're not gonna interpret the mail anymore. Custom NDR model which gonna help to interpret the email and gonna extract the peculiar entity or specified entity and provide it to the agent. This is real cool, right? That's what you're gonna do in your NDR model now. Okay. So let me save this first, and then so entities. So as I said, right? So let's try to open this. So here you have to understand your entity is string of string. Okay. So how you're gonna position this? Okay. So here you want to pass the entity name. So what is your entity name? Transaction type. And then the next one, so it will be amount, right? So add and then amount. And then the next one, so it should be date and then bank name, and then bank name. So and then next one is card type. This is cool, right? So in this way, you're gonna categorize your entity name. So after that, you're gonna provide your description as well. So here a description will be a clue to identify the entity with the help of this NER model. Okay. So you're gonna provide the clue over here. So some double quotes, since it's a string, capture the transaction type. That's enough. Yeah. And then so which is amount detected. So you can mention like detected or debited. Either will be works. And then so the next one is the date of the transaction has been happened. So I just providing a descriptive message so that it can able to understand. So bank name, so that's enough. And then the type of the card has been used. That's it. So as soon as you do this, so just click on save. That's it. And then save this. So after this, the main thing which you have to do here is you have to declare your output variable. Okay. So let's try to create a output variable over here. So let me name it as var entities. That's it. And then to write this as a output, just use a write line. Drag and drop var entity. Perfect. Save and then try to run this. Seems like our execution is done. Let me go here. So you can see here the amount debited is 15,000. It's right. And the date 3rd May. It's perfect. And the bank name ICICI. Awesome. The type of card has been used, debit card. And then the transaction type, so which is a unauthorized transaction. This is really cool, right? So it has been captured all the entities perfectly without any errors. So here you no need to train the things, all these things you're not gonna do over here. With the help of GPT, you're gonna quickly understand and label the particular categories, which are this particular entity and which are this particular entity. Based upon that, it's gonna provide the output. So also you can able to keep the threshold score as well. So based upon that, if you want to take it as a human in loop or not, so those things we can discuss on our next sessions. So let me just minimize this, and then let me go the second statement. Okay, so and this statement is totally different, right? So when compared to this, so here you can see something called as ICICI Bank, and this is Axis Bank, and this particular here the amount is totally different. So all these things are different over here. So let me try to copy this and then paste over here, save, and then debug. I guess our execution is done. Let me go here. So amount is perfect and the bank name perfect. So type of the card is credit card. Awesome. The date of the transaction looks good. Perfect, right? This is really cool, right? So it has been captured all the things. Perfect. So let me go to the next one. So this is the third statement, which is drastically different from first two. So let me just try to copy this and try to paste over here. Click on save and then try to run this now. I guess our execution is done. Let me go to the output panel. So amount deducted, what is the particular bank, and then the date of transaction. So you can see all the things are getting captured as soon as it's going to able to label by itself and then extracting the information, right? So similar to this, you will be having a several use cases. So what are the information? So transaction type or bank name. So based upon this particular sentence, it's going to understand by itself and then adjust the entity as well. So you can see if this particular entity is there or not. If it is not there, it's not going to throw an error. So it's going to adjust by itself. If this respective entity is there, then it's going to extract that, or else it's going to leave that. So in similar way, it helps us to understand the things and going to interpret and provide a single shot output for us. I hope this particular session has been helpful for you. Thanks for watching. Happy learning. Have a good day.